NA is having the best moment right now, defeating both of the EMEA teams. How long did you train to reach the aim and skills that you have now?
It's been a constant grind from when we formed the team last year. When we built the team, we decided we wanted people that were fully committed to the game. People coming from other games have like one foot in, one foot out the door. We wanted to build a team with people with 2 feet in the door and, you know, start early off, put the work in and, like kind of replicate how NIP dominated CS:GO early. That's like something I really wanted to work on in Valorant. So up until now, despite winning, like we make sure to not get complacent through all the Ignition series through First Strike and the Stage 1, and now here, like, in the practice rooms, we're constantly talking about the game, figuring new things out, and reinventing ourselves.
The next question is from Lucas Benaim, Philo News. Coming in as the first seed for NA and beating the second seed of EU, what do you think are the difference between the two regions, and what do you think about the hyped up rivalry?
The rivalry is always exciting, obviously. Both regions are really good. When we got here during the quarantine, we got to experience scrimming versus the European teams, and I'd say, like, honestly, the regions are pretty similar in styles. They might run different comps, EU at Sky a bit more and stuff, but their approach to the game is pretty similar compared to the other regions. Both are really strong. I really think that there's no definitive answer about like NA or EU is better right now. You can't judge that off of just 1 or 2 games. You really have to see that over time with all the teams that are representing. So it's really about who has their protocol set, who shows up on the day as well, good comms, everything. There's too many factors to really decide which region's stronger.
Cool. The next question is from Pedro Romero, GameZone. Contrary
Mhm.
to most of the other teams who hold the pressure of representing their region proudly in Masters 2, Sentinels have been regarded as the quintessential team to beat. That said, how does the team handle that expectation of generating success?
It's definitely pressure there, but we're not strangers to it. In NA, we were the favorites for every tournament we played in this year, I would say, and we still managed to produce results. Coming to international tournament, it's a little bit different. You can't expect the scale of like the teams and the depth of their strategies and stuff. So once again, we just like don't let it get to our heads. We focus on playing the games map by map, round by round, and so far it's worked really well. I would definitely say this is like the first tournament in my career where like we're considered the favorites to win a tournament and probably one of the most experienced. So it's an exciting change.
Next question is also from Pedro. Seeing as you defeated Fnatic and Team Vikings en route to the upper brackets finals, what were the difference in play style that you saw between the two? Which posed a greater difficulty against you?
Our Fnatic games are extremely close. I think that they're an amazing team. They have a lot of thought behind the things they do. I think strategically, I respect them a lot. They threw many fakes. I feel like we might have had some reads on some rounds, but on other rounds, they were really good at causing rotates, which you don't see a whole lot of in NA, to be honest. So I can see why they made it this far. And then Brazil as well, like doing the preparations. Everyone said like they're insane in scrims, and you could tell like individually they have some really talented players and they have good ideas behind the things that they do. I think if they could implement a bit of a slower play style, a bit of more like, playing for info and denying info, that they're going to be a really scary team. Like I can understand from interviews, they say like, Brazil is really aggressive. And I was watching their old games within like their regional finals. It was kind of like a lot of duels happening early and not a whole lot of info play. So we took advantage of that in our rotations.
Another question from Pedro. Starting off on Icebox, Team Vikings looked to have started at equal footing with Sentinels. What enabled your team to eventually pull away to your favor?
Oh man, it was a very very much back and forth. Like I feel like we knew exactly what they were gonna do. It wasn't very different from the prep that I did, but they're just so talented that like they're getting away with some kills. I feel like we made some bad peaks, and we have the tendency to start off slow and like make some misplays and like I feel like take some bad fights that we should be more disciplined about before we tighten up our gameplay. So once again, like we reset, we said we managed to make it a decent half. Let's be more disciplined on the second half and stick to the game plan, and that's what we did.
Next is Zane Merchant, upcomer. Daper has mentioned he teabags opponents to get into the head. As a team, are there any other coordinated actions you do to get into your opponent's head?
I think Dapper's the king of that. Teabagging, knifing people, toying with them with his movement and Cypher Cam and stuff. For me, I like to get in their heads by my tactics in the game. So if I have like a hard read on a team, like I'm gonna make it very obvious to them that I know what they're doing, so that they're in their own heads, that they can't play their own game if they know that I did my homework and put them in an uncomfortable spot. So that's kind of like my mind games.
Next is Petra Mitke from Mace Esports. How did the team prepare for the matchup against Vikings? Do you think they are on the same level of EU and NA teams?
They definitely have the potential to be there. I don't think you can say it by one match. Like, I think they can still make a run in the lowers, but it's difficult to say until like the teams play more and more against each other. They have good ideas behind the stuff they do. I think their icebox comp is a little out of meta with the way everyone else is playing it, and so I feel like that was like the big advantage we had there. But with our preparations, we kind of just stuck to like the way we approach every game. I do my preparations, I come up with game plan, and then before every game, I just like present to the team like, this is like what the comp they run and like what they tend to do, and this is how we're gonna approach it, and this is what the game plan we're gonna stick to for this match.
The next question is a little bit similar. It's from Gabriel Mello, Valorant Zone, Emoto Gaming Club. Now that Sentinels beat Europe and Brazil, is that enough to say that NA is the strongest region of the tournament?
Of the tournament, I don't know if there's a definite case yet. The tournament's not over. Teams can adapt. Like we lost games within NA, which I feel like NA has a really diverse playstyles too. So we lost games in NA, and then we had to learn how to counter these teams and bounce back the next time we play them and implement the counter. So EU is still capable of doing that. So I don't think it's fair yet to say there's a definitive strong region, but it's more so us making a statement that like all the people saying that, oh, EU is light years ahead of us and whatever stuff like that is not true at all. And like people need to respect NA as a region. Like this isn't CS:GO, this isn't whatever other esport. Like NA is extremely strong, and we're here to prove it.
Last pre-submitted question is from Alan Bernal, Dixerto. We've seen all teams play at least once now at Reykjavik. Who do you feel pose the biggest threat to winning Masters and why?
Biggest threat to us, honestly, all the teams in it. Like V1, obviously the regional matchup. Like we've played against each other a ton. We've practiced versus each other a ton. We know each other really well. I always think regional matchups are close, regardless of like whatever skill level. The European teams, they're still in it. They're still really strong teams, especially in practice too. So like we can't count anyone out. New turn, we played a pack against them and they played completely different from EU, NA, Brazil. And if you don't know how to play against it, if you don't come up with a game plan, like you're gonna be in for a rough match. So it's anyone's game. I think our biggest focus right now would be probably I expect to play another European team again soon.
Cool. So we move on to the open session. We have time for 2 more questions. Jinsi, you can go first.
Hey Shahzam, I wanted to ask you a quick follow-up to what you said before. This is the first time in your career going into an international tournament where you're the favorites. So how different of an experience is that for you in comparison to your past lands when maybe you're either overlooked or going into tournaments as the underdog?
It's different in the sense like when you're an underdog, I feel like you have no pressure on you and people play kind of like with nothing to lose. People play loose and stuff. But when all the pressure's on you, like all eyes on you, like there's definitely feel the pressure to perform. But it also like if you can channel that into confidence, like you feel good. Like with these guys on my team, and we go into any match, and I feel so confident going into the match that we can win it, despite like going down some rounds, losing half badly, or like throwing away rounds that we should have won. I still always feel like in the server that we can win a game, and that's like an amazing feeling.
Last question is for Andreas.esports.
Hey Shazam, how you doing?
What's up?
So you touched on this a little bit, but so for version 1, they're on a bit of a hot streak. They won their last 2, but you guys have won the last 2 matchups against them. After seeing their performance so far at Masters, do you think they might give you some trouble in that NA regional matchup?
It's tough to say. Like I think they implemented Jamie's really well. And there's always a case. Like I think the first time we played them, we actually lost them on Ascent. Before like the following time we had to like come up with a game plan to counter it. I'll still feel confident considering we dominated them pretty well in the grand finals. But like once again, I don't think I'm gonna switch the way I prepare for V1 versus like Fnatic, Liquid, or Vikings. You know, like I'm gonna do the same kind of prep. We're gonna make the same game plans and like take it as seriously as we can because we want to be the ones that from NA that win it all.
Okay, that concludes the scrum for you, Shahzam. Thank you for participating. Also, have a nice day.